Oh. It's the...
But how would we be able to see a ghost with this? Think of it that way.
Different colors than a regular person would have, maybe.
That's
You're on the right track, but let me explain further. So it's going to look for cold spots. Literal cold spots. So obviously you can see me in there. So red, orange, and yellow guy. So that means I'm the warmest thing inside the frame right now. So that's kind of how this particular camera works. What we're looking for are blue and black to either start taking shape or to start moving on its own.
Okay.
So when I say taking shape, I want heads, shoulders, moving arms and legs. Like that's the kind of mentality of what I'm looking for. Okay. Sorry, I always point the camera down when a car is going by. And normally I have everybody on this side. It's the only reason I was like, oh shit, we got somebody coming by going, what the hell's that guy doing? But with this, I also have it set up to where there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. You can probably see it. That blue dot is there to show you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. I'm looking for those cold spots to be 15 degrees or colder based off of ambient temperature. Tonight's ambient temperature, I believe, is 68, so I'll be looking for 53. I do keep track of everything for you, so moon phases, K index, the whole 9 yards. 67, so we're looking at 52 degrees and colder as I drop all my shit. So with that, anything that shows up in that kind of range, it could be just that blue dot goes to 52 degrees or colder. I might debunk things in real time, making sure it's not a can on the ground, that kind of thing. So we're going to do a few starts and stops with this, just because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. So if we record for too long, we're going to lose footage. And I don't want to lose any footage. And there's no point in creating the Blair Witch Project in between spaces. So if I forget to give you the cues of when to turn this thing on and off, I'll give you the first cue of the first space that we're going to be doing with, something with this. But if we enter a space, turn it on. When we leave a space, turn it off. Okay. So obviously that is your gap now kind of mentality. So, but she married him because her father was over in England and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his children home one last time. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. She married this guy out of love, so don't poke the bear. So there was no foul play. This is a true love story. But back to Eliza, she was right. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where we're standing now. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. So you guys have been in town for a couple of months now. You've probably seen the word indigo somewhere. I tell people that have been here for a few hours, they've seen the word indigo somewhere. If you're not sure what it is, it's a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Back in her days, they would have used it to dye wool. So try to think of the Civil War. So the Northerners wore blue coats, right? And then the Southerners wore the gray coats. The gray coat is just less indigo. Okay. So that's kind of how the dye worked. But anyway, it's very expensive. When she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with it. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated because it's not always warm here. When she figured out how to make the dye with them, she moved it to a cash crop plantation by the Stono River, just south of here, and then got a hold of her dad overseas. Said, rice plantations are going to shit. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. She probably didn't use the word shit because she's a prominent English woman. But anyway, you get my point. But being an international businesswoman during colonial times is a very big deal because we didn't have international businesswomen during colonial times. So that's the boring business shit of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff. Go into the questions that we're going to, kind of assign to you. We're going to keep things nice and basic and light tonight. We're going to go straight into her death. These are common things, and I say light because she's open to talk about it. Okay. I'll kind of coach you along because it's just the three of us. Like, we're not going to separate and say, all right, you go to that corner, you go to that corner. Like, we're all going to stick together. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a few laps around here and kind of see what you're hearing. You're kind of the star of the show. To see if we can get any answers out of her while I'm keeping an eye on any kind of EMF readings and any words showing up on my word list. Videography is not always now that you've been listening, so what do you think? Is that an easy task to do?
It's not easy. It's hard trying to pick up on what you're saying and this at the same time, but...
And that's what most people will tell me is like, hey, you got to stop talking, Nick, so I can listen in. I'm like, okay, but you need to know what you're listening for. So Eliza's death, the four major questions of how old was she when she died? What did she die from? Where she's buried? What president was a pallbearer at her funeral? So again, very specific questions. So notice none of them are yes/no questions. Some of the things that I noticed that come up out of this particular guy is, and it's not there yet, the mansion's not here anymore. Obviously, what happened to it will show up, and then when did that happen? Like the date. So we will get at least 2 or 3 numbers out of the date of the tragedy of what happened to the mansion once we get what the tragedy is. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what that is, so that way in case it pops up on your spirit box. Answers can go anywhere, which is why I love doing things with multiple tools, because you can ask a question and the answer can even go to my voice recorder. We don't know where it's going. So when I have 4, 5, 6 different communication devices out here with 10 people, I always tell them, don't get discouraged if you're not getting a direct answer. It could be going to somebody else, just depending on what's going on with the EMF in the area. So again, it's a matter of like, know your ghost. This one in particular, we're going to tiptoe around a little bit, be very respectful. She also doesn't know what these devices are. I don't even like using the word devices, they're boxes. So again, talking about a woman from 1700s, this technology just doesn't work for her. But she has seen it, she does know how to use it, you know what I mean? So again, hopefully we get some answers out of her. But yeah, let's take a few laps. Any other major questions before we kind of take a few laps to see what's going on around here? Okay, did I give you enough info to go on? Because we're going to cover all those answers before we leave, just so you know. I'm not going to leave you hanging.
Okay.
So, just so you can see how it all matches up. Yeah, because again, I know I talk a lot. Have you heard anything? Anything on your end?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm trying to pick. Now I feel like I'm just picking out every word.
But what are they?
That's what I'm trying not
I heard
to do.
like 20, and I heard South America.
Oh.
That's it.
You heard South America? Eliza was born in South America. She was born in Antigua. See now where we're going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a problem when I don't have my hoodie on. I don't have that front pocket. So I have to write down South America and the 5.8 that I've already gotten. So again, you kind of see where I'm going with this now. So that's why you have to tell me all those little things that you're hearing. If you're giving me too much, I'm going to be like, all right, scale back.
Yeah.
Like, I got to tell you the history. Like, stop talking.
Yeah.
And that's happened. Like, last night, that lady was great at listening to that. But she had, like, Tourette's all night long. So, again, it was funny. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, Carrie, you got to chill out. You know? And we all laughed about it because we all knew she was giving us a little much. But yeah, she was born in South America. And you heard the number 20?
Yes.
So that's what I call bleed over. Let me tell you about bleed over. So bleed over is when you get something from another space that's nearby. We just talked about Big John, which is only 1 block away. We could have had Pinckney Mansion stuff over there and Big John stuff over here, even though they're from different centuries. So that does happen. And I see it a lot with these 2 particular spaces. Big John's first jersey number in 1947 was 20. So again, if it was part of the year, like it said 2023, I would throw it out because they say 2023 on the radio a lot. We're also going to be mindful of this car that's going to be backing up here. This is the only entrance and exit for vehicles to get in and out, just so you know.
Okay.
But yeah, let's actually just go over to that bare wall over there and you guys listen in together and kind of see what we got going on. Shout it out whenever you hear it. Whatever you're hearing.
Okay. And whatever I'm hearing, just whatever word that I could hear clearly. I heard Wisconsin.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything yet.
And that could be my guess for tomorrow. That's why I always write it down.
Okay.
All right, write down my little 5.8. Eliza, you want to tell us what happened to the mansion that was here? I mean, I'm at flat zeros, if that tells you anything. Eliza, I know it's a busy Friday night. Let's kind of linger.
I thought I heard single, but I don't know.
Single or shingle?
So when I have a job too, it's not that I'm not hearing you. I'm focused on the numbers when things are moving. So it went up to 7.5, but then it dropped way down. That's usually a good sign. You don't want something to kind of linger in the same area because it usually means it's coming from something man-made. So like a lamppost, electrical wires, those kind of things. So if it's like 7.5, 7.3, 7.9, like you don't want it to be in that range. You kind of want it to go 7.5 and then down to 0. Our man-made objects don't pulse like that. Anything at all.
It's hard to. I'm
It's
like
almost there.
Yeah, like I'm trying to detect it, but I can't. I can't like make out what you know what I mean.
And it's funny thing is for you guys that's fast. That is the slowest method possible on a sweep for that. It's almost like taking your radio dial in your car and just turning it at a steady rate. That's basically what it's doing.
Yeah.
You're trying to make out any terms or songs or anything like that that you want to stop and listen to. Quick 4.7 and down to 0. Eliza, any kind of communication tonight would be fantastic. I know it's busy. It's Friday night.
I heard big deal.
It was a big deal down here. They were celebrating the new king's coronation today.
University.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Can you tell us where they were celebrating the new king's coronation? What part of Charleston? Building you should recognize. People get really weirded out about us filming.
Yeah.
I got nothing. Alright, let's migrate to the back again slowly. See if I can get any other readings out of it.
I heard God.
God. What's it? Grace of God?
It was like word of God or something.
The lack of readings in one sweep.
And worship.
I mean, they were religious people.
Okay.
I mean, I am going to write it down just because, I mean, I know that they were religious folks. I mean, everybody from the colonial times was religious in some way, shape, or form. So let's kind of go over the answers. I mean, whenever like we have low activity like this, I mean, I'm excited about the little 7.5. I was very excited about the South America piece because like that's not something you hear on the radio every day, and it's definitely pertinent to where we are now. You're also probably just missing a lot. Kind of verify like that's where it was coming from. Maker. I don't think I've ever seen that word on there before. I've been using this app for like 6-7 years, and it still surprises me from time to time. Like I've never seen that term before. But anyway, Sorry, I always kind of have to put two and two together. With the EMF that goes on in this location, it can range from 7 to 9. I may pull it out. We don't always get a lot of readings out of this space, but we all tell the same story. And we're not going to explore the space like what we did with the Pinckney Mansion. So what we're hoping for here is bleed over from here into our next space, which is across the street this way. So again, we may get things from that story over here. So again, definitely let me, if you hear anything, if you're going to turn the volume down, just let me know what you're, I can hear it, so that I know you're listening for sure. So this is Philadelphia Alley. It used to be called Duelers Alley. So this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, again, they're all telling the same story I am, but I'm going to give you more details because we're ghost hunting. It's not campfire marshmallow time like what they're doing down there. So, sorry, I make fun of them a lot. Not a whole lot of friends. I'm sure you can imagine why. I swear to God, if they ever get a hold of my website, I'm like toast. But at any rate, so here's how the story goes. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, and that's the lyric you hear, we get it all the time. It's part of his name, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So kind of giving you that, what to look for. But he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney helping her out with this cash flow that she just received, and the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after her money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd, to prove that he's not after her money, comes down here to Charleston. And the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed along his way into town. So it wasn't a good start. Somebody was walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. Stop on Ralph, just because, and by the way, they're down there with my good friend Remy, so they can have the rat. There's a rat that kind of like goes in and out of the bushes and over the alley and all that stuff. I named him Remy. Why not? But we're invading his home every night. But anyway, so where was I? Oh, Ralph. He has the same initials as where the doctor came from. So Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. We were getting the letters R.I. all the time on your spirit box, so I bought the digital Ouija board, so that way I can get the specific letters. I've had it for about 6 months, and we've had it about 6 times as I'm talking about this part of the history. So again, I can't make it up, and I can't make it happen. It shows up on whoever's using it. So anyway, because the person will say, we have the letters R.I. I'm like, I told you guys, I can't make this stuff up. I don't have buttons to make it go off. That kind of thing. I've been accused of that before in the past. Like, why you keep putting your hands in your pockets? I'm like, because I'm vaping. I'm like, what do you want me to say? But anyway, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them and be safe and good to go. Just want to make sure they're not coming up this way. Just let me know if you see them coming. So the doctor took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving this point that he's not after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down. They're going to get married and live happily ever after. And the doctor became known as the whistling doctor because he whistled all the time. It's the 1700s. That's what men did back then. I will tell you that every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. But this one, there's actual proof of that. And once the stupid air conditioner, this is part of the reason why I don't stop right here, is because of the air conditioner. Obviously, I'm not a super loud honker. But anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. Him and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy worked back then. So they talked about these plays on the way home. They go see Richard III one night, and they're arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. They start arguing, and then Ralph is insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets really ugly. They go their separate ways. So, I told you Ralph has friends around town. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, and there's going to be people walking up behind us, just so you know with your camera. So he goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, sir, kind of mentality. The doctor saw the ad, rebutted with, let's go to Duelers Alley, let's settle this shit, somebody's going to die. So they came down, they took their 10 paces away from each other, they turned, and the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend, just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. But Ralph has his one bullet. He actually puts it in the kneecap on the doctor on purpose. He didn't want to kill him either, but he wanted to prove his point. He's still pissed off. Yeah, so the doctor drops to the ground. He didn't die, but his friends picked him up, carried him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later on November 2nd, 1786, after refusing medical treatment. You also have to remember that this guy's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out the lead poisoning himself because gunshot wounds in 1786, a lot different than what we think of now. So again, they say every tourist telling everybody right now to listen for whistles. We have a voice recorder and obviously your video camera. So it's going to be on the audio. In the event you guys are ever down here on your own and you want to try this out, I can't take you all the way to the end because I've been kicked out of here. We're going to talk about that in a minute because that's the fun part of the story. They're like, oh shit, it gets in trouble. Yeah, part 2. But anyway, turn on your voice recorders as you walk through here and see if you get anything on it later on. Keep in mind, most locals know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley every time they pass it. I do it every night. So whenever I leave my office and go down to my car, I pass the alley. So I have to throw a whistle down here ever since I got booted out. Here's how that happened. Are you hearing anything, by the way, while I take a quick drink?
No, I heard collapse earlier.
Okay. That's a pretty specific term. May have collapsed from a gunshot wound. It's a bit of a stretch, but it's there,
Okay.
right? So I like the word collapse, especially when we're talking about somebody that dropped from a gunshot. Now, if you heard the name or the word knee, I would be a little bit more convinced because that's really more specific. Are you getting the same terms that she is? Alright, so this alley didn't go all the way through, going this way out to Cumberland Street. Right about where we're standing would have been a wall. The reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So it was called Cow Alley back then. You okay?
You all right?
That's why I keep chugging the water. So, like, my voice will be gone.
Oh. Okay, I'm good.
Good?
I'm good. I'm good.
So, Cow Alley, which means the bricks on the other side are older than the bricks we're standing on. Those bricks on the other side by Queen Street are sun-dried bricks from slave children. So there's one full handprint from a slave child down there and fingerprint swipes in others. I'd always take my groups down there, regardless of the diversity, so I can show it off. It's a matter of we need to see it. We all need to see it to show how far we've come away from slavery. However, keep in mind, see the people whistling, they're going to play the joke. It's fun. How you doing?
I don't think he speaks to him. I think he just walks. No, I know. I'm just like mimicking what I could envision. But I'm here to help you walk over that. Yeah.
By the way, if you were wondering where the weirdos are tonight, look at each other, because you're them.
We know. That's usually us.
Yeah. So normally when a group like that walks past my group and they have all the crazy blinky lights and all the stuff going on, they're like, what is going on? Or they're like, shit, there's a guy that goes ghost hunting. Like, it's usually one of those mentalities. So anyway, I try not to like pass out business cards and that kind of thing when I'm, obviously hanging out with you guys. But anyway, back to me getting kicked out of here. So that brick, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 was huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid is not there. That's the last place you're going to find him. I'm trying to shoot him along because I know nothing's going to happen, and out of respect that it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I didn't know I was out of bounds, that I'm not allowed to take people down there. I was still new at this. The 300th anniversary of that pirate trial. So I went, okay, I guess now I need to learn about pirates. Here's my problem with pirates. Because everyone always says, Nick, why don't you like pirates? First off, it was my ex-wife's bag. Second, I have a master's degree in creative writing. Pirate stories are based off of pirate lore. It's not factual data, if you're getting my point. Everything we're going to be discussing at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. Just so you know, I have half my library now is all shit on pirates. Because I want to know how to debunk them, how kind of lifestyle do they live, like what are the truths about piracy. So it's a great fun story, and it is a hit or miss location. So I'm hoping that we're going to get bleed over from this location and hints from Anne Bonny being at that location. Anything that you may have heard before we leave the space. Because again, you have to kind of see this.
You said you heard Russia?
That's the only thing I've heard.
Russia?
Yep.
Got the word preacher. We are near the St. Philip's Church. We do get a lot of religious terms when we're near St. Philip's.
Oh.
So I hate to say expect it, but Bible, pastor, preacher, Jesus, you kind of get my gist. I do have the word preacher on here as we were in the alley. Yeah, this list is really light. Like, there's not a lot going on in here. Bathroom. That's what it says. Oh, I know what that's referring to. I'm going to wait to see if there's another clue. The next corner we're going to is also pretty popular, but there's like 15 ghost stories around that corner. So again, I know which ones are real, which ones are not, and I don't tell them until something like this pops up, and then we have a verifier for me to tell an extra piece. So that's where like things can go off the cuff for me, and I'm like, oh shit, I know it's the bathroom, but what happened there? That kind of thing. So we'll see if something else pops up. So again, every little detail that you two are hearing, I want to know what it is, because again, it's a weird term that I'm waiting for. Oh, explicit bathroom. Interesting. So, all right. You can continue to record if you want to, or you can stop it and restart it when we get to our new location.
Wow.
My wife has a bachelor's in photography, a bachelor's in graphic design, finishing up her master's in animal behavior, and will probably go into her doctorate for nutrition and animal behavior and be a full-blown vet.
Wow.
So again, education is pretty important to the both of us. So when we this is my current wife, by the way. So, you know, the thing is that about her ex-husband and my ex-wife, like, education was not a big deal to either one of them. So it was kind of like when we met, we realized we need to finish up what we started. So my daughter is about to graduate next year high school. So she's going to be going down to Georgia for some school down there because she is actually a drama kid. So she is actually a costume designer now. She has been the head costume designer at her high school for the past 2 years. So she's going down for costume design. So hopefully she found a nice small little school. I don't know exactly what part, but she said it's near Savannah. She's like, Dad, it's like probably 2.5, 3 hours from here. She lives in Myrtle Beach with her mom. So obviously she's like, I can't talk to Mom about these things, so I need your help. So it was a matter of like, okay, kind of help her with the application and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, education's important. So I don't know what you guys do for a living now, but obviously I do exactly what I'm trained to do, which is tell stories and research the shit out of stuff. So when I left my 6-figure job with retail management, it was literally so I could use my degrees. So I continue to write books. I still have the blog and podcast. Like I'm writing all the time. Your guys' analysis reports, so I can write fiction and nonfiction. I just created a workbook for other paranormal teams to use my methods with my scoring system, like the whole 9 yards. So like I am constantly putting things out. So education's fun. So use your psychology.
I'll try.
For your own, you know, whatever you want to use it for. So not to keep beating on that drum, so we'll move on. She's like, tell me about the ghosts.
It's okay. I've heard it before. No worries.
All right, so welcome to the Powder Magazine. Of course, that large group over there is talking about the building. So that's the reason why we're here. So those are not crosses on there. Those are earthquake bolts. Has anybody ever explained what earthquake bolts are to you guys? All right, so you should know because you live here now. So earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. So what they do is if we have another earthquake, like what I mentioned earlier, you can turn the turnbuckles and it'll tighten the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So talk to any Californian and they'll laugh their ass off at you. But I bring these ones up because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in, because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina, the entire state. So it was finished in 1713. You guys have seen the ghost hunting shows where they use a teddy bear to attract a child ghost because it's something familiar. The building is familiar because it was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. So that's why we're here. Again, it's a hit or miss location. We have other buildings around the 17 teams, but again, this is the oldest government building on record. So again, part of the route of where we're allowed to go. And again, I have gotten a lot of activity out of this space. So let's kind of see what we can get out of this. Let me go through the history, but I'm going to need some water because this is a lengthy story.
I heard raid earlier, like just a minute ago.
What's funny is I have the word raid on my word list.
Okay.
So that makes me happy. So when things... Oh, look at
Good job.
Let me see what else I have here. Grayson Trick. So border is... It's vague. I would want another... Have you guys heard that there was a wall around Charleston before? It was called the Walled City. So back in the 1700s, they actually put a wall around the city. So this is where the wall stood. Like literally, Cumberland Street wasn't here. Okay, so this was the wall, and it kind of makes sense when you think about the topographical, map of why the Powder Magazine is where it is right now. It actually held gunpowder for 7 different wars, so they wanted to keep it as far away from the water as they could within the walls. So the wall only went up one more block up to Meeting Street and then started going across Meeting Street. So again, we're inside the walls, but they wanted to keep it in the utmost corner to keep it away from Revolutionary warships and pirate ships. It's too far away for it to be attacked, if that makes sense. So again, sorry, I look at all of these things and kind of clue things together. I don't always tell these pieces, but you guys live here, so I thought you might want to know like some of the extra little tidbits of knowledge. Car coming by, so just be mindful. Sorry, I'm like a bad dad with that camera. So, the building. Let's kind of go back to 1708.
I just heard building. Did you?
Building?
Yeah, vague, but I did hear it. Like right before you said that.
Oh, we're going to actually let him kind of go by. I don't know which way he's going to go.
That's a huge group. Yeah.
We're allowed to, like I said, go up to 20. So, some of these companies, and I think this guy's private, they'll pack them in. They really will. Sometimes in the summertime, like, they go way over. How's it going, man? Don't go over. I could turn him in if I wanted to, but I don't need any further enemies. So, but he's right about his 18 to 20 mark, like just by guessing by looking at the group. But again, even if there were 10 of you guys here with me, this is still the attention that everybody gets. So I'm still individual with each person. What's going on with your device? What's going on with yours? And I still call everybody by name. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So, I hate to brag, but I have talents he doesn't. And he probably has talents of flailing around, that I don't. So, good on him. But anyway, where were we? Oh, 1708. Right in the middle of this building's construction is where our history begins. Try to follow me because there's a lot of twists here. So, 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are the two of you with me so far? Okay. I slowed down on twists because there was a lot of them with the crazy pirate chick.
Okay.
So, anyway, the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was she that they got to leave the country by boat because there's no plane jet to come here? They land in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach, in case you don't know the maps yet. So that's about an hour and a half north of here. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he's sending young Anne down here to be able to sell things to keep the plantation afloat. Hence the familiar building, which is why we're here. So, back home in Ireland, they say Anne was a badass even back then. They say she killed a servant when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old with a knife to the belly. And Anne was the one that was 7, 8, 9 years old, not the servant. We have had the term knife, servant, and belly all in the same evening, so kind of take that for what it's worth. We did get the word knife last night, but no other further findings came out of it. But anyway, fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. So Anne is stoked because she's going to fall in love and earn her freedom just like a man. It's a man's world. So, the first guy she falls in love with is James Bonney. You can already see where this one's going because I've already told you her pirate name. They run away to Jamaica because Dad didn't approve because he's a filthy pirate, and they got married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny. That's where the name came from. But James Bonney is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This is not who she wants. A few years go by, she falls in love again. And notice I said the first guy, that is because there is a handful of lovers, and we're going to cover them all. Because that's what makes the story so interesting. Guy number 2 is John Rackham. This is Calico Jack. That's his nickname. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, just so you know who this guy actually is. He has his own ship, he has his own crew. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Anne wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a crew because it's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, then you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she gets it. Man's world. She's a pirate now. Let's go. But put 2 and 2 together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts the show, says have the baby here, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has that baby, but returns with no child. So we have no idea what happened to the baby. None of my research has ever found it. Now, the interesting part of the story, she comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack angry because now everybody's going to know he let a girl on the crew, and then they're going to vote him off as captain. So now he's pretty pissed off. He captured another pirate crew while she was gone giving birth. She's going to go flirting with that crew to make him even more mad because that's who Anne is. So, guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew the Calico Jack just captured. So I even tongue-twisted myself on that one. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. So, her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure. There's really no record of it. But the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only two pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with one bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use cannon jet because they haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, two ladies with, one bullet flintlocks are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships. They get arrested. As they're being arrested by the British, she looks at her captain and beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "Jack, I'm so sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot here, by the way. We even had people hearing dogs barking through the radio stations. Weird shit, like as we're walking in, before they even know that part of the story. The judge, who's going to try all the pirates, wants to see the two men that fought back by themselves. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The two ladies go in front and reveal their gender. He doesn't give a shit that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. We plead our bellies because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. That's what they screamed out to this judge. So he delays the hanging, sends them both back to jail. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bells out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary because we don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. The other piece of this is Mary Read. She dies 5 months later, so I had to count in my head. I usually say a year later, but it's actually only 5 months. She dies 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most books will tell you that it was something simple like fever. I'm going to say bullshit. Let's call it romantically scurvy. Why the hell not? Because let's make it nice and nasty and bumpy and gross and everything else we can come up with scurvious. So, questions I left out of here for you guys to actually ask. Let's see if we can ask something out loud and see if we can get you comfortable enough to be able to do that. I left out the name of Anne's parents on purpose so that we had something to work with. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose, the city where Anne grew up in Ireland, and the color of her hair, which is an easy one. It's red. I'm going to give you that one. So this is a weird space. This is not a prominent English woman like the Pinckney Mansion site. We can poke the bear a little bit. We are going to stay away from vehicles. There's actually more in here than normal. Normally it's only like 1 or 2 vehicles. We may just kind of go back and forth a little bit. EMF readings in this location, I don't get them from up here. I like to get them from the back because the 2 electrical poles in the corners, parking meters on the other side of the bushes. You're getting my gist. I was going to say, wait a minute, where did that device go? So I'll see if I can get anything out of here. But yeah, that's kind of. Have you heard anything that I need to know about before?
No, earlier I heard Tomb, but that was it.
Okay, that's interesting. The other word with the bathroom that came up, I'll kind of give you that gist before we start walking around. You see that corner brick building over there, catty corner from us? So that used to be Bocce's restaurant. There is a mirror in the bathroom that used to fall off the walls and not break. Kind of like a portal. So basically and the doors don't stay locked in there. Like Bocce's rumor is that they left the building because they couldn't keep anything locked. Everything would open up on its own. So I thought that they were going to actually rip the building down and make it part of the whole City House Hotel, but it looks like, I seen they were doing construction, they're putting all new windows in the place. So I was like, they're not ripping it down if they're putting new windows in the place. So I don't know what they're going to do with it. I actually was looking into it because one day, hopefully soon in the next few years, I'll own a shop down here with a haunted Airbnb upstairs. So that way I'll have 2 or 3 rooms and all the gear will be there. People that rent out the Airbnb, like it'll be a one-night stay, $1,000 up to 5 people, whatever the case might be. And they get an hour with me to learn how to use the tools and the history of the space, and then they get all the recordings back. And again, it'll be the whole experience like what we do out here, but with just one space. Nice. But of course, the shop downstairs will have all of my books, and it'll be a paranormal shop kind of thing. Get the point. Anyway, enough about me. Have you heard anything? No? Okay. All right. So let's kind of mosey around here. Let's see what we can get out of it. I do want to head towards the back a little bit.
Okay.
Had some readings out of here last night, so I was really surprised. We don't normally get readings out of here at all. And you want to tell us what color your hair was? Let's make things nice and easy to start off with.
Did that get you?
What'd you get?
It was like it paused, everything stopped, and it was like, hey. Or something like that.
So disembodied voices can happen.
It sounded like, because we've been hearing static the whole time, but it was like nothing.
Yeah. I didn't hear like the, hey, but definitely, it was like a,
something
just silence, like, done. That scared me. can't hear anything right now where I can like actually make that.
Me either. Feels like it's almost there.
I just felt like a spider web on my. There's no spider webs over here.
That was another break. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1.
I look at that as March 21st.
Huh.
See? As my daughter texted me like, hey, can we go visit colleges? Sorry, when she texts me, she's like, I know you're touring right now. She's so, and she doesn't always like blow up my phone, so sorry about that.
No, no worries.
Got a quick 5.9. Let's make sure it wasn't from my phone. Nope, definitely not my phone. 6.3. Always the bump.
I just heard 1, 9.
Oh, you heard 321 as well, right?
3, 2, 1. Yeah, heard it twice.
321 and then 519.
Just
1, 9.
1, 9.
19. Everything's a date to me. Everything. Whether it's the year.
Colonel.
Colonel.
You heard Colonel? I heard Arnold.
Either one.
Colonel makes sense here.
I thought I heard Colonel. Virgin Islands. That one was like super clear.
I know Anne for sure was not a virgin, but Virgin Islands themselves might be a good location based on where she was pirating at.
Mm-hmm. Search ship.
That shows up a lot over here. Even though if it was like, we're going to ship you this, you know what I mean? It's still the word ship, which is affiliated with piracy. 2.1. I'll take that. I know it's small. She's such a damn teenager. Bye! Like, get the hell out of here.
What was that?
Sounds like barren ship.
Uh-huh.
Barren ship?
6.
I heard 600.
Okay. A lot of numbers from you guys all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And let's get very specific. Can you tell us what city you grew up in Ireland? Could probably face that camera out a little bit since we don't want to just my crotch shot through your whole video. And you want to tell us what city you grew up in?
Oh. Just goes long with
We do get a lot of female gendered terms here.
Okay.
If it's not the word female itself, we'll get like she, her. We kind of get the pronouns. We also get girls just want to have fun on there all the time.
Wow.
Like that full phrase will come up, the full lyric. Girls just want to have fun.
Wow.
That's a common thing to get here. And come on, let's get some answers out of you. You gave us quite a few vague things last night. What specific things do you want to tell us tonight?
That's such a long song. It's like the same song for like 10 seconds.
What was it?
I couldn't make it out.
Are you talking about the one that had like an island theme to it?
Mm-hmm.
Got nothing all of a sudden out of this guy. Welcome to the loud tours, everybody. Oh, you only clap at
I just heard
cheesy
she.
She?
Uh-huh.
You only clap at cheesy tours, just so you guys know. Anything? CJ, anything?
Nothing that I can really make out.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm getting all zeros on my end. So, let's head over to the wall. Continue listening. Let me know what you guys find. So, a couple of little readings. What's funny is we did not get the name Jack tonight. Jack shows up at least, the name at least, shows up 5 out of 7 nights a week. Like, that's a pretty common thing. So you guys obviously didn't hear the name Jack. I didn't get it on my word list. So this space was another reason why I give that heated warning, like at the beginning of the tour. Let me explain. So a year ago this past September, I actually brought my team to the back, which is where I normally take my bigger groups to stay out of the other tour's way, because they like to just cut through here when it's like peak season. September is usually pretty busy for us. But anyway, the kid next to me like literally goes white as a ghost and he's starting to pass out. Like he's fainting on us. So I have to pick him up by his armpit to catch him from hitting his head on the ground. His boyfriend picked him up from the other side of him. We brought him over here, got him a bottle of water, he sat down. I then told them the history of Anne Bonny after he was feeling better. This used to be my last stop. We still have one more to go. But I said, all right, everybody, I told like 3 stories because like I said, there's like 15 here. Go have fun, explore. These 2 guys pull me aside and say, Nick, we got to tell you, we are 2 transgender males. 2 females dressed like males, just like Anne and Mary in the story. And it made sense as to why one of them nearly passed out the minute we entered the space. So, again, I don't go into all the relationships, and I wasn't even paying attention to gender that night or pronouns or whatever. It was just one of those things where once they told me, it was like a oh shit moment. So that's just the weird stuff that I see. So I never know, like, when a person is psychic or a medium. They don't always tell me until they're on the gurney going to an emergency room from the Pinckney Mansion site, being too many messages coming through. So again, that's why I always give that heated warning that if you guys feel weird, feel funny about anything, just tell me. And of course, everybody always tells me after the fact. My heart was going a little bit when we were at that Powder magazine. Like, dude, you're supposed to tell me there. Like, jackass. But let's kind of go over the answers, and then we'll talk about our last space. You can go ahead and cut your video, give your hands a break if you want. So answers are... That was a great idea, so take a load on. Take a load on. There you go. Let's see how much footage you got. Like 3.5 minutes. Cool.
Yeah. Like 4 seconds.
So, quick history on this guy is that he was sick through most of his life. Being born in 1828, he was obviously old enough to go fight in the Civil War for the 1860s, so he goes out to the Confederate side and he's going to go fight. But his comrades, when he gets out there, realize he's too sick to fight. They sent him home, knowing he was a writer, and said, go be the voice of the war. Go tell people what's going on out here in the battlefield. So he came home and started writing poetry about what was going on. He became known as the Laureate of the Confederacy. So that's, for us writers, that's a pretty big title. So anyway, he has a son a few years later. I'm not going to tell you what the son's name is or anything about him, just know that he died tragically. So hopefully we can find out what his age was, his birthday, his name, those kind of things. But obviously being a tragic death to, Henry over here, him and his wife were mourning for a few years, and his college buddy realizes he's not writing as much as what he was when he first came home from the war. He said, come out to my cottage. You can continue working on the piece you're supposed to be writing, and let Katie, your wife, mourn at home with her parents back in Charleston. So he goes out to the cottage. It's where he wrote his last words. His last words were, beholder of brief mortality, person of short life, is basically what the translation means. And then he coughed, and it landed on the page in a blood stain because he had tuberculosis. The blood stain looks like a man writing at his desk. Yeah, we call it the Blood Book. They show it one day a year at the Charleston Library Society. You have to be a member of the society to go see it, but the internet's beautiful. I'm going to show you what the page looks like, and then hopefully we're going to ask some questions and see what we can get out of this guy. So this is the exact same history that I give the full group, and then I usually have the Estes Method people sitting over on that bench, so that way they can't hear what's going on over on this side. But I also use, do you guys know what an SLS camera is? That's where the stick man shows up.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it looks like a stick figure in the camera. So it's almost like a social media filter, so it would pick up your entire skeleton of you sitting down, and all of your joints and elbows and all that stuff would be in play. Somebody brought one of those to my tour one night. So I was like, all right, cool, you can play around with it. People bring their own shit all the time because they want to go to actual haunted locations to see what it's going to do. We had an 8-minute interaction with a figure standing next to the bust. When I say 8-minute interaction, Henry, can I read some of your poetry? Please raise your right hand. Up, and then back down again. Like, that was the kind of shit we were getting out of him. The only way it disappeared was the only female in my group that night, and I think we had 7 or 8 folks, goes to the side of the wrought iron fence, and we were using me as a point of reference. Like, I'm walking around while the guy's filming the whole time. A woman goes to the side and outstretches her hand to be shaken by Henry. Henry, can you shake my hand? And he disappears. The reason why, think of the time frame he came from. It's probably disrespectful for a woman to offer her hand to be shaken that way. So we never did get him back. So I have had other figures in here because I actually found a way to not bring that big chunky one where they make with an Xbox 360 camera. So again, you can use Apple's LiDAR technology and it works just as well, if not better, and it's way more portable. So we've been using that, and I have a full figure of a man leaned up against that tree, sitting on the ground with his knees up and his arms up like this, like he's reading a book. We're talking about a writer. So again, his leg was kind of shifting around a little bit, you know, a little bit of motion from him. We didn't disturb him, but it was caught the next day when I was going through the data. I was like, oh shit, look at this. So anyway, back to the blood book. That's what we call it now. So obviously beholder of brief mortality, and then there is his tuberculosis cough. So this is the man's legacy.
Wow.
They are starting to teach him in courses, in college courses now, like right next to Edgar Allan Poe and you know, Emily Dickinson, because of what his writing actually portrayed, which was a pretty good snapshot of what was, you know, the Civil War was about, especially from a Southern standpoint. So it is starting to be taught a little bit more in colleges. So what do you guys want to know first about it from the spirit box? I'll check my... Well, here's the thing, too. I'm actually going to take a lap myself while the two of you sit here and listen in. Because we have gotten... Oh, now we get the word mirror. What time is it? It says 10:20. We got the word mirror 20 minutes ago. We were still back at the Powder magazine. And I told you we had the word bathroom, where the mirrors fall off. That's the word I was waiting for, was the word mirror. Nice. That makes me excited. So, I'm going to take a quick lap with the EMF detector. We have got triple digits in this location before. While you guys just kind of sit here and listen, try to remember some of the things that you're hearing, and then I'll come back and take notes. So, we haven't really been separated all night for you guys to try this on your own while asking questions. Some people are weirded out by the teacher hovering. So, I'll go take a quick lap, and I'll see what I can find, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and you guys can sit there and tell me what you guys are finding on there. And you're at the perfect shot with the camera, so nobody knows what you got going on there, and you can still get a nice full view of everything that's going on around us. So, where's that damn EMF detector? Right here. All right, I'll be back in a few.
Okay.
Like he's leaving us here with all this shit.
Ask something. Ask something. I don't know what, I'm trying to think what to ask. What should I ask? North Carolina. November, North Carolina. Am I asking about Tim?
Ask anything. What's your favorite color?
No, I can't. No, not favorite color. But like, like, what's his wife's name? Should I ask that? Okay. I'm talking to a nose. Okay. Mr. Tim? Is it Henry? Or is it Tim? Tim. Wait, is it Henry or Tim? Tim. Okay, Mr. Tim, what was your wife's name? I thought I was going to get it after that. But I wanted to. Okay. Why do you like riding? Okay, can I ask again? Okay. Why do you like writing? What made you want to write? Or become a writer? 79. 18 and 14.
I can't remember all these things.
79, 18,
North Carolina, 200.
14, 200. A lot of numbers. Military. I
Military?
just heard military. Civil War. We got a couple things. Military.
North Carolina.
18, 14, 79.
And 200.
Oh, and 200.
And there's 200. I got like no readings at all. I had a little 2.2. I've had triple digits in here, like up to 167 or 169. I think is our highest ever recorded in the space. Again, I think with some big groups in here and that kind of thing. All right, so I heard 18, 14. Is it 79? 200. Military. What else?
North Carolina.
Symptoms?
Symptoms.
Henry, you want to tell us what your symptoms were? Yeah, he's pretty timid. He's a shy little guy. Oh, birth. I have the word birth on it.
Okay.
And this is 2023. And it would be 2028 if it was 200 years ago when he was born. Because remember, he was born in 1828. Henry, that's not enough. Be more specific, damn it. I like military, though. It's not enough.
I thought I heard Henry, but I might have made that up for the Middle East.
It's usually your first instinct. Tyler would be more of a last name than it would be a first name back then. Breaking out the fancy cars. Henry, you want to tell us about your wife? pain. Better. Talk about something happy in your life. Radio silence, huh?
Pretty
Nothing.
much.
That's a clue to call it. So, let's go ahead and pull those earbuds out. The answers to the only things I really left out were things about his